Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. In the last video we were talking about when you first turn a machine on, there's no way of knowing what position this servo motor is in unless you have some way to account for that. And if you've been paying attention, I haven't designed anything into these parts to tell that servo motor where it is when the machine first starts up. Now, the second thing that I needed to account for was to try to figure out how to use a limit switch with this coin sorter mechanism as well. And that became quite a task. I had the dimensions of the limit switch worked out with these final designs here. So that was really nice. So I could kind of copy this limit switch holder over to the part that's going to eventually hold on to this coin sorter. But then I needed to figure out how high to make it and exactly how far back to set everything. And that took a little bit of work. So as you can see, my initial designs for this didn't really have any way to account for that limit switch. There was no way to hold on to the limit switch. And I actually ended up wasting a lot of plastic, like printing multiple copies of this. But I'm okay with that because I really want the finished product to be able to be printed pretty easily. I want all the final dimensions to be dialed in so that I can just print the different versions of this if people are interested in this at a later date, if I get it all working. You can see that I actually printed a little standoff here to hold the limit switch underneath this coin sorting mechanism. And I got the height right. It's going to ride along this rail here. So that's going to work out very nicely. So the height is perfect. But the problem with it is that there's so much play in this wheel that if it's jiggling around in there, it'll actually activate the switch. And so you can't have a positive stop on here to know exactly where the servo motor is going to be. That required a little bit of work with the X-Acto blade. I cut out those little cogs here that were holding the limit switch into position forwards and backwards. And then I could actually move the limit switch physically forward and back until I got it exactly the right position. So I wanted to print a new version of this coin sorter so that it has a little cog that would activate that limit switch. And in this version, I made the dimensions of this larger hole a little bit smaller so that it would be a little tighter. There would be less play in the coin sorter mechanism that I showed before. And I also adjusted the position of this standoff. I moved the entire thing back just a little bit so you can see that there's a little bit of a lip there. And you can see that this is just still at the same height, but we got our little cogs back to control exactly where that is. So we attempted that. It turns out that this, this larger circle is actually now too tight, and it's too hard to turn the coin sorter with the bearings involved. So I wanted to adjust that a little bit. And in the final version, I wanted to make sure that this was in exactly the right position. This ended up being the finished version. I made a couple of improvements. I made this camera studio just a little bit smaller so that it can fit directly into the next lower part. The standoff is just a little bit further back so that the limit switch gets activated more accurately. And I increased the size of these holes so that they line up with the alignment pegs on the next layer down. In this finished version, if I put it together really quickly, you can see that the new version of the coin sorter doesn't have any play in it. It rides along these bearings effortlessly now, so that's nice. But it's tight and there isn't any play in it. You don't see any wiggling in that. So that's great. And on the other side, you can see that as this cog comes around, cog goes by the limit switch, it actually activates it. So that is very exciting. So that will mean that we will have accurate control of where this coin sorter is, and we'll be able to drop coins into specific bins. So that's pretty exciting. But I think that's enough for this video. In the next video, we're going to talk about where the coins go next. So the layers below this will start to collect coins into specific bins. But for now, I think that's my 2 cents. Thanks for watching, everybody. Stay awesome.